Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the classics. And today, we are absolutely diving into a timeless tale of redemption from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Let's just start with two words that pretty much sum up our main character, Ebenezer Scrooge. This is way more than just a catchphrase, right? It's the very soul of a man whose name, even today, literally means greedy and cold-hearted.
I mean, Dickens does not pull any punches here. The way he describes Scrooge is so physical. It's amazing. We're not just talking about a guy who's emotionally cold. No. Dickens tells us he carries a literal chill with him everywhere he goes. This is a man who is so completely cut off from humanity, so walled up in his own little world of money that he just can't stand the warmth and joy of Christmas.
All right, so let's get into it. Part 1. The miser named Scrooge. So picture this. It's a bleak, biting Christmas Eve in London. And where's our guy Scrooge? He's in his counting house, of course, counting his money. He is the living, breathing embodiment of his miserable philosophy, right from page 1. So his cheerful nephew, Fred, pops in and invites him for Christmas dinner. A nice gesture, right? Well, this is Scrooge's response. He doesn't just say no thanks. He delivers this, charming little line. For him, Christmas is just pure foolishness, and you guessed it, a total waste of money. And believe me, it gets worse. When two gentlemen stop by asking for a donation for the poor, he shows absolutely zero empathy. His solution? Oh, just send them to the prisons and the workhouses. Those lovely places. He even goes so far as to say the poor should just die and decrease the surplus population. I mean, wow. It's a truly brutal thing to say, and it's Dickens' way of shining a huge critical spotlight on the attitudes of the time. Okay, on to our next section, a ghostly warning. So that night, Scrooge is all alone in his big, dreary, dark house when he gets a visitor, a terrifying one. And this single encounter is what kicks off a wild, supernatural journey that is going to force him to look at his past, his present, and his future. It is going to change his life forever. So, who's the visitor? None other than the ghost of his old business partner, Jacob Marley, who's been dead for 7 years. Just try to imagine it. First, you see his face in your door knocker, and then, boof, he's just floating right through your locked door. And Marley is definitely not at peace. He's dragging around this terrible punishment for a life of greed, and he's there because he desperately wants Scrooge to avoid the same fate. And this chain he's wearing, it's just a brilliant, brilliant metaphor. It's not just some random spooky chain. It's made of cash boxes, keys, ledgers, all the things he cared about in life. It's the physical proof of the invisible chains we all build for ourselves, link by link with every single choice we make. And Marley makes it crystal clear. I wear the chain I forged in life. He's taking full responsibility. His warning to Scrooge is super dire and incredibly personal. The really chilling part, he tells Scrooge that his chain is even longer and heavier now than Marley's was when he died. But there's one chance, a single chance to escape. So what's the plan? Well, Marley tells him he's going to be visited by 3 spirits, 3 ghosts, on 3 different nights. And each one is going to guide him through a lesson he absolutely has to learn if he has any shot at saving his soul. Which brings us to part 3. 3 spirits, 3 lessons. All right, so this whole supernatural intervention, it basically forces Scrooge on a journey to take a hard look at the man he was, the man he is now, and, this is the scary part, the man he's on track to become. So it's a 3-part journey, the past, the present, and the future. Each ghost is going to reveal a really critical piece of the puzzle that is Scrooge's life. They're there to show him, okay, this is where your misery started, these are the consequences of what you're doing right now, and here's the absolutely chilling final result if you don't change. So first up is the ghost of Christmas past. It takes Scrooge way back, showing him how he went from being this lonely but, feeling kid to a man obsessed with money. He gets to see these amazing, joyful Christmas parties thrown by his old boss, Fezziwig. But then he has to relive the absolutely heartbreaking moment his fiancée, Belle, leaves him. Why? Because she tells him flat out that another love, gold, has taken her place. He's basically forced to remember all the happiness he just threw away.
Next up, we get a totally different vibe. The ghost of Christmas present arrives. He's this huge, jolly giant of a spirit, and his whole job is to show Scrooge what he's missing out on right now. He takes him around to see all these celebrations happening, but he really zooms in on two places: his nephew's super fun party and the very humble home of his clerk, Bob Cratchit.
And it's at the Cratchit house where the lesson really hits home. I mean, these guys have nothing. They're celebrating with this tiny little goose that's hardly enough for the whole family. But the thing is, Scrooge sees a family that is unbelievably rich in love and gratitude. They have a kind of joy and spirit that all of Scrooge's money could never, ever buy.
And then there's this line from the Cratchit's little boy, Tiny Tim. It's just this simple, heartfelt prayer. And even though this kid is frail and sick, his kindness, his optimism, it just hits a nerve in Scrooge. A nerve that, let's be honest, hasn't been touched in decades.
And this is a huge turning point. Scrooge, actually feeling something, asks the spirit if Tiny Tim will live. And the ghost just throws Scrooge's own cruel words right back in his face. For the first time, you see Scrooge feel real shame, real horror. He's forced to see the brutal, human cost of his cold philosophy. This isn't about surplus population anymore. It's about a little boy's life.
Okay, time for part 4, a grave decision. And honestly, this is where it gets really scary. The final visitor is, well, it's the most terrifying one by far. It's the ghost of Christmas yet to come. It's silent, it's draped in black, and it's here to show Scrooge the cold, hard, logical conclusion of the life he's been living.
So what does this ghost show him? A future where nobody cares that he's dead. In fact, some people are pretty happy about it. He sees businessmen casually chatting about his death, wondering if it's worth going to the funeral for the free lunch. He sees thieves selling off his stuff, his bed curtains even, before his body's even cold. The message is loud and clear. He is completely, utterly unloved. So this whole terrifying trip, it all builds to this one final haunting question. The spirit doesn't say a word. It just leads Scrooge to this lonely, overgrown graveyard and points one long, bony finger at a neglected tombstone. And on the stone, one name: Ebenezer Scrooge. The reveal is so simple, so stark, and it is absolutely devastating. And seeing his own uncared-for grave, Scrooge just completely and totally breaks down. And that brings us to our final section, the man who kept Christmas. Because he wakes up, he's in his own bed, it's Christmas morning. It wasn't all just some horrible nightmare. He's alive. The future hasn't happened yet. And he is a profoundly changed man, just filled with this giddy, almost childlike joy that he hasn't felt in forever. And he doesn't waste a second. He immediately puts this new attitude into action. He buys the biggest turkey he can find and sends it to the Cratchits, anonymously. He finds those same gentlemen he yelled at the day before and makes a huge donation. And then he actually goes to his nephew Fred's house for Christmas dinner, and you can just imagine how shocked everyone was to see him. And in the end, Scrooge becomes, as Dickens puts it, as good a man as the good old city knew. He becomes like a second father to Tiny Tim, who, by the way, does not die. So the story closes with this incredibly hopeful and enduring message. It's not just about don't be greedy. It's about the fact that it is never, ever too late to change, and that our real wealth, the stuff that actually matters, is found in how we treat each other.